The ayes to the right, 358. The noes to the left, 234.
Victory was never in doubt, but for the Tory MPs it was sweet. A bill to leave the EU is finally on course to become law, and 3 years in which that seemed uncertain are over.
So the ayes have it, the ayes have it.
This is the best Christmas present ever, everybody.
Since the EU referendum, there have been 2 general elections, protracted talks, resignations, 2 prime ministers toppled, a new political party born and extinguished. Boris Johnson, opening the debate, declared that turbulent era over.
History will record that the first act of this new parliament in its earliest days was to break the ice floes and find a new way through, a new passage through to unsuspected oceans of opportunity. And so now is the moment to come together and write a new and exciting chapter in our national story, to forge a new partnership with our European friends, to stand tall in the world, to begin the healing for which the whole people of this country yearn. And it is in that spirit of unity that I commend this bill to the House.
Thank you, everybody.
The bill will be fast-tracked by the Commons in January, and talks with the EU about a future relationship should start straight after that.
But thank you so much for all you've been doing. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Number 10 intends the talks to be led from the Cabinet Office, perhaps with Michael Gove in charge. That same minister would have responsibility for trying to hold the United Kingdom together as Brexit puts it under strain. The plan at Number 10 is to fold the Department for International Trade into the Business Department, and that new boosted department will be responsible for trying to get trade deals with countries outside the EU, Australia, New Zealand, and of course the United States at the top of the pile.
So the choice we now face is between keeping the highest environmental and food standards in order to get a future trade deal with the European Union, or slashing food standards to match those of the United States, where there are so-called acceptable levels of rat hairs in paprika, maggots in orange juice. It's true.
There were Tories immediately after the election result who were speculating that Boris Johnson might try to tack closer to the EU institutions in these talks, use his majority to defy hardliners in his own party. But those people have been thinning in numbers and confidence as the days go by. One cabinet minister who's had private chats with the Prime Minister said he thought he was very much at the Canada end of the market, suggesting he wanted much more freedom from EU rules than many think. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Westminster.
Well, earlier I spoke to 2 Labour MPs, Wes Streeting, who voted against the deal, and Emma Llewellyn-Buck, who voted in favour. Also with them was the Tory MP Steve Double, a member of the pro-Brexit European Research Group. And I began by asking him whether he had now been relegated to the sidelines of the Tory party because his job was done.
Well, I don't think any member of the Tory party is irrelevant. I think clearly the ERG's role, our primary goal over the last 2 years, it has been achieved. And therefore, I think the role of the ERG will evolve and change in the coming months. But we have achieved what we set out to, which is take us out of the European Union.
But you're no longer powerful enough to topple a Tory Prime Minister.
Well, I don't think that was ever the case anyway.
The last one was handed out of office by you.
Listen, the Conservative Party is more united in Parliament than at any time that I've been an MP. Absolutely clear. We're backing the Prime Minister. We are backing this withdrawal agreement, and we are backing his domestic agenda.
Wes Streeting, united behind your leader. That is hardly something that one can say about the Labour Party at the moment. How does this, first of all, how does this moment feel to you? You've been fighting Brexit, ever since the referendum, hoping for a second vote. None of this has happened. You're now not just defeated, but also in the wilderness.
Well, reality bites, doesn't it? And Boris Johnson's got a commanding majority to do what he wants to do. But with that power now comes responsibility. He's got no hiding places, no scapegoats, no one else to blame. So Boris Johnson and his government are now accountable for all of the promises made during the referendum, all of the promises made during the general election. And look, while the Labour Party will be going through a leadership contest very shortly, we will be uniting around holding the government to account and making sure that everything that was said about Brexit delivering for the country genuinely happens. Because if it doesn't, it's all on Boris Johnson now.
But West Streeting, you voted against this bill, and you, Emma Littleback, voted for it. Doesn't that just sum up the division inside the Labour Party, still unresolved?
I don't think it sums up division in the Labour Party. I think it sums up the fact that we're all trying to do right by our constituents and honour the commitments that we made to them. That's exactly what I did today. None of this is easy. Nobody's enjoyed any of this. This has been a really toxic time in our politics, and I'm hoping now we can move forward with a different style of debate and people can start uniting and coalescing around ideas and change the way that the chamber behaves, because quite frankly, over the past 3 years, it's been an embarrassment to our democracy.
A lot of your colleagues in Brexit voting constituencies have lost their jobs. Right. What should the leadership have done of the Labour Party in this election campaign to make sure that that didn't happen?
I'm absolutely devastated about the loss of 52 colleagues in Labour Leave seats. I think our position in 2017 manifesto was a position we should have had for this one, and I think today was the wrong call to whip to vote against this bill. I think we should have had a free vote, or people should have been allowed to abstain.
Wes?
I have a lot of respect for the stand that Emma's taken. As she said, she's got a mandate from her constituents, so I respect that. We're not going to win the next general election by looking in the rearview mirror. What we've got to do now is look ahead and build a forward-looking programme that learns from our defeat but looks forward. Brexit is now a reality. It's happening. We have to take that on the chin.
You have 5 years now to make this work, to come good on your promises before the next election. You've got 5 years in the Labour Party to basically either make up and forgive and forget, or to go at each other's throats. To be honest, from the last 48 hours, my impression is that it's going to be the latter rather than the former.
Well, I don't think it is, and I think, listening to me and Wes here today, we're from opposite sides of the Brexit debate. We're getting on fine. At the end of the day, our core values in our party remain, and that's what unites us, and that is what always will stick us together.
Steve Double, there's a man in government, but not in your party, who's made extraordinary waves and who's seen to be very, very powerful indeed, Dominic Cummings. Dominic Cummings, as we know, on the record, hates people like you, but he's enormously powerful, and he's got the Prime Minister's ear, both ears in fact. How would you deal with that?
Well, I'm not aware Dominic Cummings hates people like me at all. I'm from a working class background in Cornwall.
I'm not talking about your demographics, I'm talking about your political affiliation within the party. He has picked fights with the ERG repeatedly, and he's now in a position where he is enormously powerful. His election strategy has worked, tremendously well for the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister has been very clear time and time again when the role of Dominic Cummings has come up that his role as an advisor, the Prime Minister makes the decisions and provides the leadership. And I think we're all very much behind Boris Johnson as leader. That's where we're going to stand.
But are you afraid that this country, and therefore your party, will be run by a tiny kitchen cabinet? I mean, even smaller than the actual cabinet, people who are immensely powerful.
That is not my experience whatsoever. Every time I've wanted to talk to the Prime Minister about something, he's given me his ear and he's listened to me, and the vast majority of the time he's absolutely taken on board what I've had to say to him.
Things have changed slightly though, haven't they, because he didn't have that majority before. He needed to listen to you. He might need to now.
Well, all I can say, the experience of since the election has been exactly the same as before.
With the majority of 80 for the Tories, there's really nothing the Labour Party can do to genuinely challenge the Prime Minister.
Well, we can challenge him, and we've all achieved things in opposition before. It's not undoable. So I don't think that's true at all. I think it is possible. You can still change things from opposition. It's just that bit harder.
Yeah, cheer up, Matt. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you very much for coming to the room. Emma Littleback, West Streeting, Steve Double.